when I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, I wasn't sad. I was angry. I was angry because I felt that I didn't deserve it. And the only time I ever talked about mental health was when my friends tweeted about it and asked me for support. This wasn't like when I was told I had bronchitis for the 3rd time, or that the scar on my forehead when I hit my head against a rock and almost bled out was never going to go away, or when I almost went blind my senior year. No. This was different. This had history. History that was so deep in my family archives, I was not willing to do the research to understand that my family tree would affect the way that I consume alcohol, or that I would always implode and I would always ruin my relationships, or the fact that I would chase love after people that didn't deserve it. No. This was different. Damn.
You got it.
I had it.
You got it. That's good. You still have it.
You still have it. You still have it.
But ignorance is bliss. And how are you going to ask a 7-year-old how they feel when their grandfather dies of cancer and they chose not to cry at the funeral, but then when they don't shed a tear at karate practice and get kicked in the face? I would put on my belt and go up against anyone who stood in front of me, but the moment I showed weakness, I would look weak, and they would tear me in shreds. And then I chose to go into the theater arts, because at least there I'd be able to act like someone who actually enjoyed being themselves. Preaching monologues of self-acceptance, I would look towards the eyes of God. I would look towards the eyes of God in an attempt to try and find myself, and still couldn't. But through those words, they were my cryptic messages, begging the world for someone to tell me they were proud of me, to tell me that I could be something, anything, and the voices in my head were not true. That I was something. That I was perfect the way that I was, but that's not the way that I was treated. I was kept at the bottom of the totem pole with my head down and my shoulders shrugged out of necessity because boys don't cry. Well, I did. 792 days. That's how long it's been since I reached out to a licensed professional. The first time we ever spoke on the phone, I couldn't go a sentence without crying. But I had to try and stay quiet because they didn't want my new roommates to hear me. Afterward, I drove to a park nearby and I called my mom because I couldn't keep these emotions inside. The 7-year-old inside of me had a voice and he was screaming out for help. I told her I'm sorry. A token of my frustration, believing that I couldn't get through this without her, but due to a global pandemic, I had to keep more than 6 feet and a warm hug was out of the question. I drove back home to sit on a couch feeling like a truck had just hit me, wishing that it did, because at least then people would be surrounded around me trying to keep me alive. And I couldn't do that. I wasn't ready for that responsibility. Out of the shadows came an unfamiliar face, someone who didn't understand my struggles, but the only thing keeping us connected was a rent check. He looked at me and asked, "How could you let something get to you like that?" Anxiety makes no sense to me. Must be nice not having mental health issues, buddy. I am a work in progress. I am someone that keeps the illustrations of his journey across his body with these tattoos. I am someone that believes that mental health issues are not spoken enough about, and I am the face of depression and anxiety. To anyone else that's going through the same thing, I see you. Your feelings are valid, your emotions are honest, and if no one has told you that they are proud of you, I'm proud of you.
Hey.